everyone, I have a wet shellac burn project for you today. I originally wasn't going to post this, but um, the other two projects that I was working on this week did not pan out. They were pretty terrible. So um, I decided to go ahead and post this one, even though I'm a little bit embarrassed about it. Wet shellac burns, you light the shellac on fire instead of letting it dry and then using a blowtorch. So in some ways they are more dangerous than dry shellac burns because you're working with an open flame. So normally when I do a wet shellac burn, I do it outside. But because I was not working on the entire surface, I decided to stay in my studio. And I'm still a little embarrassed about it because I should have taken some more safety precautions, like put some aluminum foil down and I think put the camera a little bit further from the surface. Anyway, I wasn't really thinking about safety that much. Sometimes when you get an idea or a project in mind, or at least when I do, I work really fast. I get excited and I work really fast and I don't think about the things I should be thinking about. So that's the reason why I was kind of hesitant to post this. Um, you do need to be very cautious and think about what you're doing when you do a wet shellac burn. And make sure you don't have anything around your piece that could possibly catch on fire. Put down some foil is always a good idea to catch the wax and shellac that could melt off the sides. So those are just a couple of things that I would do differently. But it's still really interesting to see the differences between a wet and a dry shellac burn. The cells can be very different. You have less control when you're doing a wet shellac burn, but the shellac gets burned more deeply into the wax and creates different effects. So I think it's worth it to try both techniques and you can see which one you like better, and it may be appropriate to do one for one piece and one for another piece. When you do a wet shellac burn, the shellac is still wet after you've done the burn. So you have to, it gets very sticky, so you have to let it dry. And it takes longer for it to dry after you've done a wet burn than just letting shellac dry on the surface of your wax. So bear that in mind because sometimes, depending on how much shellac you use, you may need to let it sit overnight to dry. But one of the things I love about this piece is that I didn't add wax over the whole surface. I let some of the former shellac burns kind of peek through. And I think it adds kind of a neat effect and a little bit more depth. It still looked like it needed a little something, so I'm just taking my calligraphy pen and some India ink and just carving some thin lines and dots and letters into the surface in different places. I love how in the pictures you can see the different types of cells and how deeply the shellac can go into the wax with a wet burn. It's a very different effect from a dry burn. So let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your suggestions, your criticisms. Any kind of feedback is always so helpful for me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.